So discovery, the word by definition means exploration and embarking on the new. And Land Rover projects precisely this image with its sturdy, yet kind of primitive past in car production. First released in 1989, the Discovery was Land Rover's third conception and basically replaced the Range Rover as it climbed the ranks and became a status symbol and ever more expensive. It was almost bestowed to tackling driveways and manor houses rather than the trails of Africa. The Discovery was created to bridge the gap between ultra luxury of the Range Rover and an all-round utilitarian vehicle like the Defender. So the Discovery's off-road abilities have never been questioned. Cemented in the history books as one of the great utilitarian vehicles, competing in the G4 Challenge Cup for 8 years and putting itself forward as a real contender as one of the best off-road vehicles in the world. So today the Discovery Sport is aimed at a more urban world, stylish but comfortable, smaller than the now massive Discovery, more practical and more spacious than the Evoque. The Discovery Sport isn't just a glorified estate car, it's still a Land Rover, capable like its predecessors. Terrain response, 600mm wading depth, hill descent, all at your disposal. So let's give it a go. This particular model is the SE version, it's a right mouthful this. SE version, R-Dynamic, black. Now, I don't think you're supposed to say black edition because that's an Audi thing, but I don't know. I mean, it seems a bit strange just to say black on its own. So there's a real array of spec options. It's actually a kind of mind-boggling to try and get your head around it. What we do know is that you definitely get a sportier, more aggressive styling pack on the outside. We've got some kind of sexy red stitching inside with some gloss black finishing touches, and obviously that carries on the outside of the car as well, where we've got basically anything that would usually be plastic is a gloss black finish, and it really does finish the car off nicely. We've been discussing today, we don't think that really you should get a spec any lower than this if you can afford it, because it offers you everything you need apart from performance, obviously, because it's tragically slow. So Land Rover states that this car is one of the most versatile 7-seat SUVs on the market, with only 180 brake horsepower but a whopping 430 Nm of torque, which when weighing in at over 2.5 tonnes and with a towing capacity of just over 2 tonnes, it really needs it. Fuel efficiency sits around 40 mpg, but a dismal top speed of only 117 mph. Yes, you heard me right, 117 mph. It's not as sporty to drive as its name may suggest. So if we start with the enormity of the boot, just shy of 1,000 litres of storage space here. And then what Land Rover have done to make it even bigger is you pull these two levers and all the seats go down, and now it's the size of a small London flat. So Land Rover have equipped this car with a 5 and 2 setup. We've got the standard 5 here at the front, and we've got 2 ideally for small children in the back, or you could set up your own small security force and have 2 men in the front, 2 to the sides and 2 to the rear, which is probably what I'd do. I think the first thing you notice when you get in this car is how they've basically ripped out the whole of the dashboard and started again compared to the previous models. And you've got this lovely kind of soft touch effect everywhere. It's very, very stylish and modern and classy. It feels like it's all bolted together very nicely, and the quality is kind of second to none, really. It's what we're really starting to expect from Land Rover as a brand. I mean, obviously its main flagship vehicle being the Range Rover Vogue. All these little electronic details trickle down into the family. So let's talk about the driving position. We've got 600mm of wading depth, which is great if you're going to be driving through a massive puddle, or if you're going to be driving through any kind of small river, ford or reservoir. But the beautiful thing about that is the drive position's nice and high up. You're about the same level as you would be in a van. And having driven a Range Rover Sport recently, it's near enough identical to that driving position. And I think one of the reasons people buy cars like this is because ultimately they become quite used to being high up and sat high up on the road, and they enjoy that, and I'm certainly enjoying it. Coming out of cars that are, it's the opposite. They want you as close to the ground as possible. To be sat up here is quite refreshing, actually. I'm certainly falling in love with it. We've driven the car around all day, and one of the things that you do notice is, for a big car, I mean, it weighs 2.5 tons, this car, is how nimble and light the steering is, which you would expect in a modern car, but it's how well Land Rover have put it together and how easy to manoeuvre the vehicle is. I mean, we're actually about to do a pretty much solid U-bend here, and we'll be able to do this in no more than 3. We've got reverse cameras as well at the back, which is, I mean, it's brilliant. And then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and we're away. Now, this car has, with regards to performance, it's slow, really slow. Top speed is an embarrassing 117 miles an hour. I mean, there's motorised wheelchairs that go faster than that. What we do have is a lot of bottom end torque. This car is not built to go fast, regardless of its Discovery Sport name. The Sport is actually in relation to, you know, going canoeing at the weekend and putting your bike on top and going climbing and running. It's not in relation to its drive performance, and you can feel that. What this car is a great cruiser. It's very, very comfortable, gets you off the line nicely, 4-wheel drive, and as soon as you take it off-road, instantly this car is at home straight away. It's absolutely at home. And I think that's what Land Rover in particular have done so well with this car, is how they've basically built a car that looks at home in a city and in an urban setting, but then you take it out into the country like we've got it today, and it's perfect. I mean, it's respectable, it's not loud, it doesn't shout. It's just a good, honest Land Rover, and actually very, very true to the brand. And they've not had to sacrifice any of the equipment inside. Things about the car, or this class of car, that I don't like are, unless you spend probably over 35 grand, you're gonna get a car that looks pretty naff. Like this car in the R-Dynamic spec, SE, is the spec that really you need to go for to really get a luxury experience in a car that doesn't shout. The other issue is, like we've said, it's speed. Now, this car's got a 9-speed automatic gearbox, and it's great at what it does, and it brings power in surges as opposed to kind of immediate petrol dual turbo kind of stuff, but it's just a bit sluggish kind of getting about. It's like a whaling ship. It kind of just trots about. The performance isn't there immediately. It's very much a diesel in that sense. In the car, you've got an abundance of space. It's massive. I can hear myself reverberating off the wonderful additional extra of this panoramic sunroof up here, which is really a must, because if not, in the back it's pretty gloomy. We've also got enormous spaces in the doors here for storing your weapons and your water bottles, obviously for, again, a sort of urban versus countryside option there. It's like being sat in a Range Rover. I mean, it's extremely comfortable. You've got everything you could want, lots of soft touches. The standard of finish is exceptional. Its only downside is the fact that it's just so slow. And ultimately, if you're not bothered about that, like a lot of people, let's be honest, aren't bothered about cars that are fast. They want a car that's comfy, and they want a car that ultimately can get everything in the back. They can chuck whatever at it and it'll keep going and it'll keep going. And ultimately that's what Land Rover is, and that's exactly what they've achieved with this car. And I think you should go and buy one. I really do, because it's absolutely excellent.